Firstborn children generally have higher IQs. Would this remain true even if the mother had a prior failed or aborted pregnancy?
Well, birth order effects, are they real? I think birth order effects are confounded with fertility. The only reason you'd have a high birth ordinal is you came from a big family, and big families are produced by lower IQ people. So of course the higher birth ordinal, the lower your IQ because it's confounded with fertility. Nobody ever controls for that in these studies. So when people talk about birth orders, I want to know what that looks like when you actually control family size. I've never seen that done in any of these studies, and as far as I am concerned, the entire effect could be driven by differences in family size. It could be a completely between family rather than within family effect, disguised as a within family effect.
Oh, they don't look at it within families.
Well, they rarely do. I've seen studies looking at birth order effects which don't control for family size. Like I saw a big one using Project Talent which did not control for family size, and it just looked at birth ordinal and sort of threw that in there essentially. They just used that as a predictor of IQ, and yes, it showed a birth order effect. But because it didn't control for family size, it might have been picking up the between family effect. What would be interesting would be something we don't have, which is a meta-analysis where you could actually use whether they control for this or not as a moderator. And my prediction is that insofar as there is an effect, it's going to be very, very tiny, and it'll be much, much smaller than the aggregate effect.
It makes sense though, because there will be more mutations with the age of the parent.
Well, I have another theory. The issue to explain is there's not much of a paternal age effect on IQ insofar as there's a consistent between family effect when you control for birth order. Unlike for, say, physical attractiveness, where there's actually a relatively big effect, or fertility where there's a fairly modest effect, or ADHD prevalence where there's a very big effect, or autism where there's a big effect. For IQ, there's virtually nothing. So, one possibility is that within families there might be private, lineage-specific mutations, which have unique effects on those families. So, these are what Steven Pinker calls private or family-specific mutations. And maybe there's a paternal age effect that's purely within family, that is a function of the accumulation of private or family-specific mutations, which, if you transplanted those mutations to other individuals and other families, would not have the same effect because they just have a unique epistatic effect on whatever unique gene configurations comprise the structure of traits within a particular family and are not shared between families. So that could explain it if it's still there after controlling for fertility.
Another question. What do you gentlemen think of birth order effects? Do you agree with the arguments birth order effects made by Slate Star Codex? Well, I don't know what Slate Star Codex is, but there are lots of studies showing birth order effects. For example, in sexuality, the more older brothers you have, according to a paper I read by Ray Blanchard, every older brother increases the likelihood that you'll be gay by about 33%. So gayness is a birth order effect. Other birth order effects seem to include differences in physical height, things like this. Boys become more feminine as the number of older brothers increases. So there are birth order effects as far as I can see, yes, because of changes in the hormonal balances of the mother.